Welcome to the past they hid. If these buried stories shake something awake inside you, subscribe and hit the bell. More hidden history is coming. The armies of the Second World War carried rifles, rations, and radios, yet none of these mattered when the real enemy pressed in. Not gunfire, not artillery. Across deserts, jungles, and frozen valleys, entire units discovered a truth no commander wanted to put in writing. Water could kill faster than bullets. Rivers crawled with parasites. Wells were fouled with disease. Puddles shimmered with invisible threats waiting for a single sip of desperation. And in those trenches, something resurfaced. A fragment that escaped the flames. Within the first 45 seconds of this forgotten record, the secret reveals itself. Soldiers uncovered an ancient purification method, older than empires, older than armies. A method the modern world quietly abandoned. A method that still works. A method buried in a page they removed. To understand why it worked, you have to descend, not into battlefields, but into the underground world itself. Beneath every war-torn landscape lived a hidden architecture of soil, roots, microbes, and minerals older than conflict. A world that filtered, absorbed, and transformed, long before humans marched across it. When troops dug shallow pits near riverbanks, they weren't performing a trick, they were accessing a record nature had sealed beneath their feet. As groundwater seeped through layers of sand and earth, an old law awakened, soil biology shifting, sediment tightening, microorganisms competing, each grain becoming a tiny gatekeeper. The earth for a moment became a living archive. Soldiers didn't know the chemistry, they only saw the result, clouded rivers turning clear inside those makeshift earth basins. But beneath the surface, a microbial battle was unfolding. Beneficial soil organisms outcompeted the invaders, fine sand trapped the larger threats. Clay particles clung to impurities like guardians reclaiming their territory. This was the underground world doing what it had done since the first roots pushed into the first mud preparing water for life. But the war demanded more, and this is where the forbidden step returned, a truth they smothered in ashes, rediscovered beside countless battlefield fires. Charred wood. Not modern filters, not chemical tablets, just carbon in its oldest form. When soldiers dropped burned fragments into their boiling tins, they unknowingly resurrected a practice that appears in lost Mesopotamian tablets and scratched Greek inscriptions, a practice that disappears suspiciously from later texts, as if someone intended the knowledge to fade. Carbon, once heated, becomes a labyrinth of pores so small they exist between the visible and the invisible. A structure capable of absorbing toxins, trapping foulness, neutralizing what the pit alone couldn't tame. War diaries rarely mention this step directly, perhaps because it felt primitive, perhaps because it felt too simple, but it is the missing piece, the page they removed. Boiling alone kills life, charcoal rescues purity. Together they formed a layered defense drawn from the earth itself. And here's where the science sharpens the myth. Modern analysis reveals that natural carbon, fire-born, unrefined, hosts a staggering internal surface area. One handful contains the microscopic acreage of a small village, every pore a doorway, every doorway a prison for contaminants. This is the true reason soldiers from the Sahara to the Solomon Islands trusted the method, not superstition, not improvisation, physics, chemistry, soil biology, a truth they smothered in ashes finally breathing again. Soldiers used it because supply lines broke, because tablets spoiled, because technology failed under heat and mud and chaos. But what they rediscovered was not wartime ingenuity. It was a fragment of ancient environmental engineering practiced long before water could be tested or measured. It survived in tribal craft, explorer journals, and frontier notes, yet somehow slipped from mainstream survival teachings. As if the archive had been burned, and only this whisper remained. When troops refined this field method, they weren't just making water drinkable, they were reenacting a ritual of resilience. The soil pre-filtered, the charcoal absorbed, the heat sterilized, 3 layers of the earth working in unison, 3 guardians beneath a world tearing itself apart. And though the war ended, the lesson did not. Bushcrafters, wilderness guides, and environmental scientists have revisited those World War II field notes, carefully, respectfully. What they found was startling. When compared to certain modern filters, the ancient triad of soil, carbon, and heat produced clarity and microbial safety levels surprisingly close to contemporary benchmarks. Not perfect, not absolute, but astonishingly effective for a method born in desperation and preserved in fragments. Why does this matter today? Because the future always drags the past with it. Natural disasters break infrastructure, backcountry expeditions run dry, power grids fail, and in those moments, it is the forgotten records, the skills buried under comfort, that matter most. Not gadgets, not convenience. Knowledge. Knowledge the Earth still teaches, if we listen. Knowledge soldiers preserved simply by needing to survive one more march, one more dawn, one more day the war didn't take them. And you can almost hear the archive breathe again when you realize this. The same forces that filtered water for ancient societies, the same forces that saved World War II soldiers, the same forces shaping groundwater today are identical. Soil still strains impurities, charred carbon still opens its pores, heat still destroys pathogens. Nature never abandoned the method. We did. There's something poetic in that, something humbling. The simplest solutions are rarely the most profitable, rarely the most celebrated, often the easiest to erase. But not here, not in this archive. We recover what they tried to burn. If this story resonated, if uncovering a record they sealed reminds you that forgotten knowledge still has power, then let the world know. Like the video, subscribe, share this with someone who still believes the past has lessons worth unearthing. If this page opened something for you, protect it, share it before they bury it again.